He is a native of Chicago, Illinois, South Side. He teaches multicultural counseling, advanced theories, and counseling, testing, and assessments. Ladies and gentlemen, we are having the pleasure to introduce Dr. Malik Raheem. Oh man, wow. I love introductions. Boy, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Oh boy. Before I really get started with this, let me tell you a little bit about myself for all you all who do not know. Like the introduction said, I'm from Chicago, Illinois, South Side. The thing about it is this. When I was growing up as a young man, my mom initially, we were a single parent household, and my mom was extremely poor. But she went back to school to get her nursing license. But until I was about the age of 6, we lived in what was known as a housing project, right? And the housing project was named Our Lady of Argyle Garden. And I went to a Catholic school and all this stuff, little bit taught and all that. But at that time, college was never an option until my mom went back to school to get her bachelor's of nursing and become an RN. Then it became expected of me and my brothers and sisters to achieve to the utmost. My brother, still in Chicago, he has a master's in public administration. I have a sister trying to complete her bachelor's in nursing, and of course I have a doctorate in counselor education. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna explain this model to help achieve success in college for the students of African descent, okay? Now the thing is this, we have a nice diverse population of students here at Fresno State, but the sad thing is this, we have less than 900 black students on this campus. Less than 900. And the success rate of those students is just poor, okay? So the thing about it is this, one of the things I hate is when they lump everyone together as of color, faculty of color, students of color, staff of color, because see the thing about it is this, although we're all oppressed people, we have our specific things that we need addressed. So if you lump all of us together, what happens is even though we have those specific things, the dominant group will get their issues addressed and the ones that's not dominant won't, okay? Now since I arrived here, I've been doing what a lot of people say is a lot of great things. Unfortunately, everyone don't see it that way. Now see, when I look at myself in the mirror, I see this nice, sweet, innocent, adorable person, right? But unfortunately, some of my colleagues around the university and in my department, they see this. I was actually called dangerous by a colleague. I was called dangerous. And I told them, thank you, right? Because if I'm considered dangerous, that means I'm doing my job. So the thing about it is this. When you're dealing with a psychosocial development model, it's some things that you really have to address. And these are what I found are the 4 things you have to address when dealing with the psychosocial mental health development, okay? The first one is their emotional health, okay? Dealing with anxiety, how they're feeling, what's going on with them. That's the first thing you need to address, because that initially is going to be one of the first things that you're going to notice when something's going wrong with them. That's also one of the first things the person's going to notice. The second thing is this, their social health. Now, I know we have extroverts and we have introverts, right? And see, the thing about it is this, a lot of people don't believe I'm shy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't believe I'm shy. In actuality, I don't like speaking in front of crowds. Whenever I speak in front of crowds, I get real nervous. You might even tell. But the thing about it is I'm an introvert. And what an introvert is this. An introvert is different from shy. An introvert is a person that gets their energy a different way. Their energy is not outward, it's more inward. While extrovert energy is outward. Okay? So a lot of people get confused with being shy and introvert. Okay? But just because a person might not have a whole bunch of social friends does not mean that they're not doing well. But a lot of times what this society do is we like to put everyone in a box. And by putting everyone in a box, we think they got to have a lot of friends. See, me, as far as my enjoyment time, you know what I like to do? I like to go home, watch the Chicago Bulls. If the Bulls not playing, watch the Chicago Bears. If the Chicago Bears not playing, watch the Chicago White Sox. I thought I was going to have a stroke when the Cubs almost made the World Series. I hate the Cubs, right? But that's a different story. I'm saying that because Dr. Nelson's not here yet, but anyway. A lot of people tell me, Dr. Raheem, you need to get out more, right? Maybe I do, but that's how I recharge my battery. But see, a lot of people think that you got to recharge your battery by being around a lot of people. That's not necessarily true. When I meet people, I only have a few small circle of friends. Everyone else is acquaintances, and I deal with them. Sometimes we have students like that. But their social health is one of the most important things to deal with as far as their success in college. The third thing is their mental health. Now, I know I have a room full of some of counselors. I have a couple of my, what I call Padawans. And my Padawans are the counselors in training that are trying to become Jedi counselors who are multicultural competent, right? So if you never had my multicultural competent class, you're not considered a Padawan. Okay? That's that simple. You're not considered a Padawan. You're just a counselor. You're not a Padawan. You're not going to reach Jedi status yet. Soon you're going to see one of my best Padawans come up here and discuss microaggressions. And then, of course, there's spiritual health. Now, I'm not talking about a particular religion, but their spiritual health is important as well because it's their connection with what they call the universe, their higher power. Whether they say Allah, whether they say Jesus, whether they go to Buddha, whatever it is, the thing about it is their spiritual health. When all these four are congruent, the person is considered psychosocial, mentally healthy. Okay? Unfortunately, we have a lot of students who don't fit this bill. Because just recently we had a threat, an internet threat by an alleged person who said that they were the way they were getting looked at, they were getting tired of it. What this immediately told me was a red flag. They wasn't psychosocial, mentally healthy. Okay? So what are some of the things that affect a person's psychosocial mental health? First thing is racism. Now let me explain the tenets of racism. A lot of people think that racism is just hating another person. No, it's part of it, but it's not. The thing about it is this. When it comes to racism, so you all can know, my multicultural counseling class already know this. The thing about it is this. When it comes to racism, there's a set definition that you got to understand. First of all, there's privilege, there's power, and then there's prejudice. The 3 P's, privilege, power, and prejudice. If you do not have that, you cannot be a racist. All right? But everyone can be prejudiced. People in this room right now are prejudiced because everyone has a bias. But everyone cannot be classified as racist. Now, there's basically like 3 forms of racism. Okay? There's what you call institutional or structural. And what that is like the higher ed system, where we're at right now. The mental health system, the criminal justice system, right? They've been designed to oppress people of color. Okay, like yesterday we had some beautiful presentations discussing this. If you didn't get a chance to see the presentations, there'll be a video, and for a small fee, you'll be able to watch it. But hey, gotta make my dollars. Individual racism. Now, there's two types of individual racism, okay? But the type I'm gonna talk about first is, and foremost, is this. When you talk about like a hate group, because the hate group operates like a fist in one striking force, okay? So when you have a group like the Aryan Nation, the KKK, groups like that are what I call individual, even though they're a group, because they're operating in one main force with a main purpose, okay? And then, of course, you have internalized. And internalized racism is what a lot of people of color, black people, Latinos, Asian, that's what we suffer from because of the fact that we internalize the hatred, the stereotypes, and the biases, and we buy into it, okay? Now, the thing about it is this. Racism is so common that it's just like breathing. Just like breathing. You're so natural to this whole society that it's just visible and it's just like breathing. The only thing is this. If you're a person that's being oppressed, you can see the privileges, you can see the racism, right? Now, back in around about 1972, this scholar named I call him doctor even though he was a lawyer because you gotta get your JD, Dr. Derek Bell came up with this theory called critical race theory. And what critical race theory says is basically that racism is intertwined in our society so much that it becomes natural and normal, right? And there are some key components on how the critical race theory implements itself with racism, okay? One of them is that racism is a part of everyday life. That's just a known fact if you're a person who's being oppressed, okay? It's part of everyday life. And it's so much part of everyday life that sometimes we go on with life like it's just normal. The second one is that the voices of community of color need to have a legitimate voice. They need to be able to say what's going on with them. The third is the dominant culture will only concede when it's going to benefit them in some way, right? Now you have a lot of people who theorize that the only reason the Civil Rights Act was successful was because of the economic boycotts that went on, and they saw that, well, we could get additional money if we lift some of the Jim Crow laws. We can get additional money if we allow people into our neighborhoods, which in essence really didn't work because a lot of the neighborhoods are still segregated. Because where I grew up in Chicago, to be honest with you, I didn't know white people existed until I was 10 years old. I thought white people was a figment of my imagination because I only saw them on TV. I never saw a white person for real in life. And when I was little, my cousins and them used to tell me, you can't believe what you see on TV. Guess what? My mom bought a house when I was like 10. I went to this Catholic school. I went in. They told me that my name wasn't in the registration. I had to go see the principal. When I went down there, this lady who was a nun came out. She was white. And all I was like, oh my God, they're real. They really exist. It petrified me. I've been traumatized by that for so long that now I have a mental illness. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I have a mental illness. My mental illness is called drapetomania. Drapetomania. Drapetomania is what the psychiatrists told the slaves who ran away was mentally ill because they didn't want to be slaves. Right? So it's obvious because I'm sitting here talking about these type of topics, I must have drapetomania because I don't want none of me or none of my people to be mentally slaved anymore, right? And then, of course, the notion that you can be colorblind is part racist. Because see, the thing about it is this. I checked this morning to make sure, but when I got up this morning, I looked in the mirror. excuse me, people, but I was like, damn, I'm fine. How can you not like me? Good Lord, look at this tan. Oh my God. Oh, hold on, almost had a moment there. Woo. Take a step back. But you know what I'm saying? I was like, good Lord, how can somebody sit up there and swear me down that they don't see all of this, right? So let me talk a little bit about some of the issues that students of African descent and any student of color goes through, right? Now, my young Jedi, Melissa Henry, going to get in more detail with this, but I'm going to briefly talk about it, right? Is microaggressions. Now, microaggressions is verbal or behavioral indignities that communicate hostility toward an intended target, okay? And there's three basic types. There's micro-insults, micro-invalidations, and micro-assaults. Now, let me tell you about some of them. Give you this quick example. I know they say, oh, Dr. Raheem, you tell your stories. Oh, Lord, they're beautiful, but I'm going to short them up, I swear. When I first arrived here in Fresno, right, I got suckered into becoming the president of the Black Staff Association, the Black Faculty and Staff Association. I became the president because they needed new blood. But what they were telling me was, we got a new sucker because he don't know what's going on, right? So I went to this organization called CAN, the Campus Action Advisors Network, right, to do a presentation to talk to them on how to do proper culturally sensitive advising. So I'm standing, we're in the Craig building, was where the presentation was. And I'm standing inside the Craig building, all dressed up. Matter of fact, I was in this suit right here. Now I know you're thinking, dang, you was in that suit? Oh Lord, you looking good. Yes, I was. But the thing about it is this. I'm standing there and I don't like to be around people when I'm presenting because I gotta get focused. I gotta pray. I gotta listen to my Gerald Levert, and then I gotta pray again, right? So as I'm doing that, this one brother walks up to me, excuse my language, and say, what the F are you doing here? So I'm in the court, I look around, because I knew he couldn't have been talking to me, right? Couldn't have been talking to me. I look around, I say, excuse me? He says it again. What the F are you doing here? Now, you know them little movies where they had an angel on your shoulder and the devil on your shoulder, right? Well, the angel on my shoulder like, oh, see, Malik, this is your time to show how much you've developed and grown, right? So you'll just kindly talk to him because you're a doctor now. Don't let nobody talk to you like that. You're from the South Side of Chicago. How are you going to let your people in the South Side of Chicago man, I'll stump them. So I said, well, sir, I'm waiting to do a presentation. And he says, where? Where the presentation? Who are you? So I say, so I don't like, if you know me as personally, you know I don't like to use my title. But this was an opportunity I had. So I said, I'm Dr. Malik Raheem, the Council of Education Department. So he took a step back and looked at me. Now the funny thing about it is, I had a badge on that said, Dr. Malik Raheem, Black Faculty and Staff Association President. So that should have ended the conversation there, right? No. He tells me he's the building manager and he got to make sure there's no vagrants or criminals in the building. And I look like one. Now I know there are some fine criminals out there. I know there's some fine criminals out there. I'm not trying to stereotype criminals, but let it soak in. Let it soak in. He said this was a criminal. And so the thing about it, the reason I'm telling you all that story is because it went on and he used the N-word a couple of times. But see, the thing about it is, the reason I'm telling you all that story, I classify it as an assault. But see, the reason I'm telling you all that story, because if he had the courage to do that to me, how does he treat other black male students who do not come dressed in a shirt and tie with a vest, who come in jeans, a sweatshirt? How does he treat them? So how's the campus treating them? How are they treating the black female students? Right? If he'll treat me like that. Micro insults, Lord have mercy. Quick story, let me tell you about a micro insult. So you won't think I'm just picking on Fresno State. When I was working on my doctorate, right? Initially, for the first 2 years, I was the only black male doctoral student in the North Illinois University Counseling, Education, and Supervision program. The only one. And then in the second year, they brought this young brother in named Joe, right? Joe's cool. He's a real nice guy. But see, the problem with Joel at that time, you know how when you were in high school and you were upperclassmen and you done kind of settled in, and then you got these new freshmen coming in and they all gung-ho about stuff, right? And they all excited. But that's how Joe was. So he run up to me talking about, Malik, I'm glad I met up with you because I got this great idea for a multicultural thing. I'm like, yeah, okay, gotta keep cool. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So he tells me, well, I'm gonna take pictures of people, put them on the screen, and let the audience guess what they do for a living. Now, I thought about doing that to you all tonight, right? But see, the problem is I don't like to steal nobody's ideas. I like people to have their own intellectual property. So I don't like to steal people's ideas. Even though it was a good idea, I told him it was a good idea. So he come telling me, Malik, I like to take your picture. My picture? He's like, yeah, I want to take your picture. I'm like, well, Joe, the thing about it is this. You can't capture all this essence in a photograph. So he's like, no, come on, Malik. I'm not joking. I'm not saying nothing for it. That's the truth. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people try it and it come out as good. So they're like, okay, let me just take a picture. I'm like, hold on. I'll let you take my picture, but under one condition. He says, well, what's the condition? I said, well, you're going to randomly have these pictures popping up, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, well, before you have my picture pop up, you got to put the disclaimer on the screen to let all the young ladies know they're about to get inundated with fineness. You don't want, you don't want my picture popping up like that, and all of a sudden the women start fainting, passing out, wooing, right down, trying to take screenshots, and their boyfriend catch it and all this stuff, get them all in trouble, So you gotta, like a warning, you gotta put it up there and say, you're about to get inundated with sheer fineness. So prepare yourself, right? So he's laughing, he's like, okay, so he takes the pic. He's like, let me take a picture. I'm like, hold on. Can't just take a picture. I gotta pose. Gotta get my Gerald Levert on. So he takes the picture. 2 weeks later, he comes back and he says, oh, Malik, that was great work. So I'm like, yeah. He's like, guess what they said about you? What else they gonna say? Fine, gorgeous, sexy. You can even tell I'm intelligent just by looking at me, right? He said, they thought you was a gangbanger. Micro insults is a description of criminal status based off a person's race, right? When I first arrived here, I used to go around because other people used to teach multicultural counseling, right? But see, the thing about it is they wanted me to come in and do the presentation on micro assaults and stuff like this because they wanted their students to be able to sit there. And I know what the trick was. They had me come in and then that'll up just before evaluation time. And then I teach the students. The evaluation go up and it look like they doing a great job. So eventually they decided to give me my own section of multicultural counseling, right? So my first time teaching it, I'm sitting there and then whole classroom of students looking at me like, who are you? I don't know you. Where's Dr. Garcia? Where's Dr. Lee? No, they're not here. I'm going to teach you tonight. So the thing about it is, I ask the questions like I do, I used to do in all my classes. Who here don't feel they have a bias, right? Big mistake. Had one student raise their hand. I said, yes, sir. I'm thinking he's going to say something. He said, I don't have a bias. So I'm kind of shocked because, they didn't teach me how to handle this in my doc program. I'm sitting there kind of shocked. So I'm like, well, if you don't have a bias. So I tell him, okay, well, I tell you what, if you answer this one question, you can leave class, don't come back, and you get an A. He said, seriously? I said, yeah, one question. So he said, okay. So I said, well, what's the square root of pi times 18 lift to the 15th power times 88 to the square root of 599? Take your time. You got 3 minutes. So he sits there, he pulls out his phone. I'm like, no, player, no, you ain't got no bias. He's like, well, Dr. Raheem, that's a math question. I don't think that's fair. I said, I didn't tell you what type of question it was. I just said, answer the question. So I said, look here, you can't use your calculator, but I'll let you ask anyone in the class for help. So he's sitting on this side of the room. When he stands up, he says, anyone? I'm like, yeah. On this side of the room is like 3 Asian students. So he's looking around. He says, anyone? Like, anybody you want to. You can ask him for help. He's looking around, out his peripheral, trying to not to look at the Asian students, but to look at the Asian students. The Asian students are like this. Oh, Lord. Oh, hell. And he's looking around, trying to look over there, and the Asian students had their head down, and so eventually he just admits that he has a bias. He said, I give up, Dr. Raheem, I have a bias. Like, okay, fool. So he sits back down. But see, the point of the matter is this. Because they're Asian, he ascribed that they had to be intelligent and have ability in math, right? Micro insults is basically when you make a person an alien in their own land, right? When I was at Northern, a professor walked up to me and she was like, Dr. Raheem, where are you from? I'm like, Chicago, proud. No. Well, where are you really from? Chicago.
South side of Chicago.
Maybe that what it was. I said, well, hold on. She said, no. Where are you really from? Oh, yeah. Okay. She's like, yeah, okay. So I'm telling her, I'm from this small country. Very few people heard of it, right? It's right off the coast of Lake Michigan. It's called Chicago. Many of you in this room have faced that as well. Being made an alien in your own land. Can you imagine on a regular basis going through that? Creates racial battle fatigue. Where you feel every time you get up and you're about to go to a place, you are at war. It creates frustrations, anxieties, psychological withdrawal, physical avoidance where you don't even want to go there. Because every day you got to put up with the same BS. And that happens to our students on a regular basis. If you read the message that was posted on what's Yik Yak, if you read the message, he said, I'm tired of being looked at a particular way. I'm going to show everybody that I'm human. Then he went on and said something about shooting some blonde, but I can't excuse him for that. But if you read the message, it had racial battle fatigue all over it. That he's tired of coming here and being treated like he an alien, like he an outcast, from the way he looked, from the way he's dressed, and the students on a regular basis go through that. It's called racial battle fatigue. Some of us faculty go through that, right? Stereotype threat. Stereotype threat is a phenomenon where you feel that you are the representative of your entire race. And if your race does not do so good in a particular subject, you feel it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy that you're not going to do well as well. There was a study done that all an instructor has to do is say, this is not going to count heavily on your grade. Black students' grade test scores rose. That simple phrase, this is not going to count heavily on your grade. Black students who traditionally do not do well in a particular subject, their test scores rose. Okay? So that's one of the easiest ways to combat anyone that might be suffering from stereotype threat. When you go through the racial identity model, and it was created in 1971 by this black psychologist named William Cross, right? And what William Cross said was this: because black people go through so much, right? It's a process for them to be proud and accepting of who they naturally are, right? Now the thing about it is this model has been adapted. Censor me, huh? Okay, cool. Don't worry, I got enough lungs that I can shout back there. You know, but the thing about it is this model has been adapted for all people of color, right? So the thing about it is this: this is not linear, but I'm gonna describe it like it's linear, right? Because you can go in and out of different statuses. But in pre-encounter is when you feel that the dominant culture is the right culture. Everything dealing with the dominant culture you think is right. Everything dealing with your culture you feel is inferior. Okay? And encounter is that at some point in your life, over and over again, you're going to be recognized as being black, being a person of color. Okay? Something's going to happen to where you want to realize that your race is an issue. The immersion status is when you immerse yourself so much into black culture that it's the complete opposite of pre-encounter. Now it's everything in your culture is right, but everything in the other dominant culture is inferior and wrong. The thing about it is this: this is also so mentally unhealthy because you think people who look like you should think like you. So if people that look like you don't think like you, that's when they become Uncle Toms, sellouts, what are the Cornball Brothers? That's when that happens. The internalization stage is when you start realizing that just because a person of a different ethnicity or different culture doesn't mean that they're inferior. It doesn't mean that they're superior. Differences doesn't have a hierarchy on it. Okay? Some of the things that will help increase students of color protective factors and to help them succeed, especially black students. You might be saying, I can hardly read that, Dr. Raheem. It's good, because I did it for a reason. So you can ask for the PowerPoint, and I can get it to you, and you better look at it, right? So make sure you're paying attention. The first one is this: caring and supportive relationships, right? It could be family relationships, friendships, but caring and supportive relationships help the student as far as their protective factors and their resiliency as far as succeeding at universities and colleges, right? High expectations. Not only high expectations that the community has for them, but high expectations the student has for themselves. So the more higher the student's expectations are, not only in their inner self, but around them, increases the possibility of them doing well. Their spirituality, right? And I don't mean that if you don't believe in God, you're not going to do well, right? But at some point in existentialism, at some point, we all ask, why are we here? What is our purpose? Okay? So the thing about it is this: at some point, we have a commune with the universe, Okay? And our spirituality is tied to our success. So a person who's a devout Christian is going to feel that, hey, it's their responsibility because Jesus wants them to do well. And that's part of their spirituality, to do well in everything they do. So they're going to do well. If you're a Muslim, subhanAllah, you're going to do extremely well. Okay? Because that's going to be your drive. Because you're going to feel that you're disciplined. If you can sit down, take the time out of your day and pray 5 times a day. If you're a sister and you wear hijab and you walk around and making sure that everyone sees you, that's part of your spirituality and growth. So the thing is, you're going to say, hey, I'm going to succeed. The old adage, know thyself, right? Know thyself. Have an inner understanding of yourself. Now, after leaving here, don't be trying to go majoring in mathematics. And they said, Dr. Raheem said I could do this. Know thyself. Know what your strengths are. Know what your purpose is, okay? Know what your calling is. Look at what your strengths are and attack them. This is the model that I'm proposing to you will help African students succeed. The racial, ethnic, and spiritual identity formation. The more they have a sense of pride in their race, their ethnicity, and their spiritual identity formation, the greater their odds of increasing their sense of belonging. Student involvement, joining fraternities and sororities. Here on campus, there are great fraternities and sororities that black students can join. There's Alpha Phi Alpha, there's Sigma Phi Beta, there's Delta Sigma Theta, there's Alpha Kappa Alpha. If I miss one, I'm sorry, but the thing about it is you understand what I'm saying. If you're a black Muslim student, there's a black Muslim student, there's a Muslim Student Association. If you're a Christian student, there's Christian Students Associations, right? If you're gay, there's LBGT Alliance. But see, the thing about it is you need to have some type of student involvement where you realize that this is your campus too, and that you're going to contribute to the success of it. Those create a sense of belonging on the campus. All day, the president, the vice president of student affairs, your faculty member, your staff member can all tell you that you belong here, but until you actually get a sense of belonging, and these are two of the things that can increase your sense of belonging, you're not going to feel that you belong here. You're going to feel like you're an alien walking around here and wondering why everybody's looking at you funny. And you're not going to have no affiliation with the schools. Of course, your study skills. A lot of students come to the campuses not properly prepared by their high school on how to actually study, right? So if universities start actually having introduction courses on how to actually study to succeed, these type of things will increase a sense of resiliency and improve the graduation rates. Of course, family support and expectations. Now, when I say family support, some of us might come from foster homes, some of us might not have a strong family foundation, but that goes back to what I was saying about a strong support system. It might not be your actual biological family. But see, the thing about it is this. I know almost all of us love our biological family, but our friends are people that we select. So they become family members as well, a social family member. So if you pick the group that's going to tell you you're going to succeed and they have high expectations for you, then eventually it's going to help you to thrive and do better. Those things are going to increase academic success. With that combined with sense of belonging, the graduation rate will definitely improve, right? And I say thank you. I would say if there's any questions, but I know I just dropped the mic, so there won't be no questions. If you have any questions, please meet me at the back. Thank you.